Grace and peace to you, everyone. This is the voice of Sister Anissa Batiste of Thusia Seventh-day Adventist Church and the Thusian Institute for Religious Liberty. My heart is pained when I consider that the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, through its Ministry of Health, is pursuing continually an agenda to vaccinate girls and boys in our country with the HPV vaccine. Tonight I saw a memo, you will see it on your screen, a release from the Agency for Public Information coming out of an interview they had with a nurse, a staff nurse, Mofford, who reported on the fact that they would be offering the HPV vaccine to girls and boys through the clinics around the country, and that this vaccine would be offered to 9-year-olds to 14-year-olds, one dose, and I think above 14-year-old or 15 years above, 2 doses. The Ministry of Health of our country is going about this program in a lot of ignorance of the reality of this vaccine on the health and lives of young people around the world. These are some of the books in my library that I have had the opportunity to purchase and gain access to over the years studying this issue. Some of them I purchased during my attendance at an HPV vaccine education symposium held in 2019 in the state of Chicago in America, where I met many doctors, scientists, and families, parents and children who have been injured by the HPV vaccine, or parents who had children, and in one case at least, there was an actual young girl who gave a testimony of what happened to her. I want to just show you them and show you the names. Shattered Dreams, the HPV Vaccine Exposed, compiled by Christina England, forward by Brandy Vaughan. Brandy Vaughan is a very important lady because she used to work with a pharmaceutical company called Merck, the maker of the Gardasil HPV vaccine. And she pulled out of it when she saw the evils that these vaccines were doing to children, to people. And Brandy had cause to announce in 2019 that she was not suicidal because she feared there were attempts on her life. And shortly after she announced that, Brandy was killed. I met Brandy myself in 2019. We will talk more about that in another program. Look at this next one. Journeys from Trust to Tragedy by Norma Erickson. Another compilation of stories from young girls, and I think concerning boys as well, who were injured by HPV vaccines around the world. Again, I met Norma at the HPV vaccine symposium. Look at this one. Gardasil, Faith and Propaganda versus Hard Evidence. Of course, they're using faith here in the sense of belief, because a lot of people go about vaccines just saying, I believe in them, without looking at evidence. And this was written by Dr. Nicole Delépine and Dr. Gérard Delépine. They're French. One is an oncologist, a cancer doctor. I met him. We spoke. I did interviews with him back in 2019 at that symposium. People need to look at the hard evidence and not just this traditional, I believe in vaccines, they're safe and effective, and they don't know what is going on. Observe again. These 3 down here, very, very important books. Look at this one by Helen Lobato. Gardasil, again, that's the name of one of the HPV vaccines. Gardasil, fast-tracked and flawed. You need to know how it came to market, how these studies were done, and they were fast-tracked to push out a product that would make money for pharmaceutical companies, but that had not followed proper protocols with respect to trials, and that indeed would prove to be to the disadvantage of the health and lives of children. A vaccine to prevent cervical cancer, ? Because as we have been telling you, it does not do that. It cannot be proven, and has not been proven to do that. Look at this one. Miller's Review of Critical Vaccine Studies. 400 important scientific papers summarized for parents and researchers by Neil Z. Miller, and the foreword by Gary Goldman, PhD. This is a highly recommended book. It talks not just about HPV vaccine, but about several vaccines. And what I love about Miller's book is that you notice it says 400 important scientific papers. So what Miller does is he deals with different vaccines on the schedule, and he lists different studies which show the danger of the vaccines. Okay, so that you as a parent could go in and you could look at these studies for yourself, check them out, whether it's about measles and MMR or HPV. There's a whole chapter on HPV. Here it is, human papillomavirus, from page 127. Okay, if I could just give you an idea of what his layout is like. Human papillomavirus, okay? And then you'll get several pages of where he shows, look at this, clinical trials show no evidence that HPV vaccination can prevent cervical cancer. Serious adverse reactions are common. And then he would list the study in question and give you bullet points as a summary of what the study concluded. And he does that for each study. Look at this one. HPV vaccine studies are flawed, resulting in unreliable safety and efficacy data. Again, he lists the study, the name of the study, the year, etc., and bullet points of the summary of the study. And it goes on and on. The HPV vaccine may cause lupus and other serious autoimmune diseases. The HPV vaccine may cause autoimmune diseases such as lupus and fatal cerebral vasculitis. This is amazing. The HPV vaccine may cause chronic pain, fatigue, and nervous system damage, and on and on and on. It's an important book, and we will share more about it from it with you. Look at this one here. This one is so key. This was written by women who are lawyers. The HPV vaccine on trial, seeking justice for a generation betrayed, by lawyer Mary Holland. Also, Kim Mac Rosenberg is a lawyer, and Eileen Iorio. Okay, with a preface by Dr. Luc Montagnier, a Nobel Prize winner. Unfortunately, Dr. Luc Montagnier died during COVID. I believe he was killed because he was given a lot of information about the evils of the COVID jab and even issues pertaining to the virus, and suddenly he turns up dead after giving so much very important information. This book, we are told, reveals the tragedy of the HPV vaccine scandal. Dr. Luc Montagnier said that. He's a Nobel Prize winner for the discovery of HIV. Now, this is very important, this book, and it gives you the whole history of what happened in the development of the HPV vaccine. And when we come together and we have brethren like Sister Creamer, he's already doing videos from this book. I had brought her back a copy and sharing with you the contents thereof. And it's very important because you have topics that look at how it came to market, how it hit the market, what was involved in it. Okay, the injury reports. People don't look at the injury reports. They just tell you safe and effective. They just run and give it to your child, your son and your daughter. It addresses earlier issues about, who really is at risk for cervical cancer, ? Why are we giving this to our 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 14-year-olds? Are they really at risk for cervical cancer? These are things to consider. Also, we're going to look at HPV vaccine science, the issue of the ingredients. Do these nurses who intend to jab these children, do they know what is in those vaccines? Do they even know what is inside Gardasil and Cervarix? The issue of injecting aluminum inside the vaccine. Do you understand that this is why a lot of girls have ended up like this girl here, with chronic pains, syndromes, etc.? Do you realize that? And so much more. So, you see, I had been reading, you see all my notes and stuff you can see inside of my book because I went through this book. So listen, these are the kinds of education you could expect from me. I'm not talking off my head. I've done research and I continue to do research. So stay tuned. I'm Anissa Batiste. We love you and we say don't take the HPV vaccine. And you nurses, please research before you put yourself in trouble with people's children, putting an injection in them because the Ministry of Health and PAHO and WHO tells you to do so when you don't know the danger and you could come in for a lawsuit. Amen.